All right, you guys, it's your boy back at y'all with another one. Let's get down to business. We're talking about Ben Simmons. He's still with the Philadelphia 76ers. No word as to how long he will be with the Philadelphia 76ers. He has made it clear that he does not want to return to Philadelphia. He has also made it clear that he wants to be traded. Now, this guy got a lot of nerve to be demanding anything given his past playoff performances and his inability or unwillingness to shoot the ball has capped the ceiling of the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, coming into the season last year, you had a lot of prognosticators, experts, analysts labeling the Philadelphia 76ers as a NBA Finals contender. Salute Terry Melton, salute, bro. And for the most part, that proclamation looked like it was going to come into fruition when they locked up the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. But there was always the dark cloud hanging over the head of the Philadelphia 76ers. One would think when the release of the coach that they had before in Brett Brown, that was the answer for the many years of falling short of expectations. For years, we were told to trust the process, that in time, everything was going to come into fruition, delivering a championship to the city of Philadelphia. And when Ben Simmons was drafted, there was a level of excitement considering his upside that he showed that he had at LSU. Now, for a lot of detractors, they had questions about Ben Simmons, about how is he going to translate to the game and all this other stuff. Was he going to shoot the ball, all that stuff, right? Well, here we are 5 years later, and his offensive game has not progressed to the level of expectations. Now, a couple years ago, when the Philadelphia 76ers lost the opening round game to the Brooklyn Nets. Now, a couple years ago, the Philadelphia 76ers were the number one seed, and you had the Brooklyn Nets sneak in as the eighth seed. And they went into Philadelphia and they won that opening game, and you had the crowd booing the home team 76ers. Now, Ben Simmons came out and didn't necessarily like the fact that the fans booed the 76ers after the opening round loss to the Brooklyn Nets. And that told me something. What's up, A. Santana? Salute, bro. Yeah, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to the Cavaliers being interested in all that. And it told me something. It told me that this guy was not mentally prepared for the backlash that was going to ensue had the Philadelphia 76ers fallen short of expectations. We've seen him miss wide open dunks. We've seen him commit costly turnovers down the stretch. We've seen him miss crucial free throws down the stretch. We've seen him give up open looks at the basket to where this individual, this 6'10" athletic freak of nature, is unplayable down the stretch. What's the East Oakland 90 Mac? Salute to everybody in the building this afternoon. Now, for this level of futility and ineptitude, for him to come out and play like the victim here is beyond disgusting. You have reporters questioning whether or not this man could lead the franchise to the championship. And Doc Rivers, for all intents and purposes, said he didn't know. Because a lot of things need to evaluate. You got the face of the franchise in Joel Embiid calling you up for your performance or lack thereof. So why does he feel the need to come out and basically, for all intents and purposes, shun the same organization that drafted him, the same organization that was willing to do anything to help him, the same organization that coddled him, the same organization that gave him that max contract that he did not deserve? Now, I'm not one to be counting people's money. I don't do that. Never counting down the man's money. But the fact that he has not worked on his game, that his game has not progressed. And look, people are going to point to the 42-point triple-double that he had when Joel Embiid was out, right? They're also going to point to another 30-point game that Ben Simmons had, right? But if you go back to those games, what happened to the 76ers when he dropped all of those gaudy numbers? They lost. So what are we talking about? Which leads me to this, and I'm going to share this screen. Because there was word about Ben Simmons possibly being linked to the Golden State Warriors, but for all intents and purposes, that is dead. Okay? Him going to the Golden State Warriors is all but dead. And the reason why this supposed trade is all but dead because Daryl Morey is asking for a king's ransom. Now, him asking for a king's ransom has the Sacramento Kings disinterested. Because that was another team that was linked to Ben Simmons. This was another. Now I told everybody that him going to the LA Lakers was unlikely. The Lakers don't have the assets, and plus, they just traded for Russell Westbrook. So, for all intents and purposes, that trade scenario was dead on arrival, right? I told everybody that trade scenario was out the question. The Clippers situation, you got to think, they just traded for Paul George last year. They gave up a king's ransom for him, right? They really don't have the assets either to acquire Ben Simmons. But then again, why would the Clippers trade for Ben Simmons? Why would they? Does he really make that team better? And now we got the Golden State Warriors, who are unlikely to give up anything for Ben Simmons because Daryl Morey is asking for a king's ransom. Now, for any trade scenario to realistically happen, his asking price, I'm talking about Daryl Morey, his asking price needs to come down significantly. Ben Simmons' trade value is garbage. When they had the trade scenario for James Harden last year, they did not strike when the iron was hot. So this article is coming from The Athletic. It says the Warriors front office isn't currently split on whether or not to accept the Ben Simmons trade offer from Philadelphia. There isn't and never has been a realistic one on the table for them to discuss. Talks can't be considered dead because they've never even really been alive, according to multiple sources. The Warriors amongst the teams Daryl Morey called during his initial round over-the-top inquiries. This came before the draft. As been reported, he asked for Andrew Wiggins, James Wiseman, the 7th and 14th overall picks, and 2 future first-rounders. There was never bargaining. There was only a decline and a hang-up. So let me get this straight. See, this is what I'm talking about. He asked for Andrew Wiggins, James Wiseman, 7th and 14th pick, and 2 future first-rounders for a guy that really can't get you nothing offensively? Really, dude? No wonder they declined and hung up. What's up, Matt Moses? Chris Roberts, salute everybody in the building this afternoon. Make sure you hit that like button when you come on in. See, this is the King's ransom here that warned the decline and a hang-up. Andrew Wiggins, James Wiseman, the 7th and 14th picks, and 2 future first-rounders for a guy that really can't give you nothing offensively. That is the King's ransom I'm talking about. Nobody is going to give all that up for Ben Simmons. Need to circle back. Morey, at a certain point in September, might come around. The situation in Philadelphia is only getting more tense as the season creeps closer. If the Sixers slash the asking price significantly, it could warrant deeper discussion within the Warriors, from ownership to Bob Myers, staff on down, to the opinionated, involved coaches and veteran players. That's when the finer details might be debatable with more nuance. So, now, the Golden State Warriors came out and already said that there's no scenario where Ben Simmons and Draymond Green will be on the same team at the same time. Salute to Buki Allen and Kai Clark in the building, man. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, my Sunday's been all right, man. I can't complain, y'all. Cannot complain at all. Right? So I appreciate everybody for taking their time out their busy day to spend it with me. It really means a lot. Especially considering that you got Klay Thompson coming back from injury. You don't know how he's going to hold up, and he won't be back until Christmas. So if you pull the trigger on this trade and all that, right? Does he make your team better? Sure, he gives you great defense, but in the grand scheme of things, can you really trust this guy in crunch time? Let's continue on. The desperation isn't there on both sides. Golden State is not desperate to make a move. The Sixers, on the other hand, are desperate to make a move. Right? So that's the first reason why this trade scenario for Golden State is not likely to happen. Simmons and his representation, we talk about Rich Paul, right? They'll continue to turn up the heat for the Sixers, but Morey has full autonomy in Philadelphia. He won't be one to make a panic deal, even if it means dragging it out the camp or the season to extract proper value. He just won't take Wiggins and a future first rounder or Buddy Hield-Bagley combo because Simmons is a preseason no-show. Situations do change. The Warriors could be a whole lot more desperate come January than they are in September, and the offers could expand. But when you contrast that with Morey, what Morey will likely want, what the Warriors are willing to even entertain, then there's an ocean of difference. Now, James Wiseman is the former number one overall pick. He's not trying to trade James Wiseman, right? Another reason that Ben Simmons, they're not trying to, nobody's moving heavens on earth to get Ben Simmons and all that, because they know Ben Simmons don't have leverage. He don't. He don't got no leverage to be making any kind of trade demands. The Sixers know that too. So the Philadelphia 76ers and other teams know that Ben Simmons do not have the leverage to be making any kind of trade demands. And Daryl Morey is just not going to just give up Ben Simmons for nothing, right? So the original trade proposal was to send him to Sacramento for they wanted Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley, right? When you got the Sacramento Kings saying no, that's a problem. Now, the Sacramento Kings hadn't been good in years. You have to go all the way back to when Chris Webber and Peja Stojakovic and Vlade Divac and guys like that played for the Sacramento Kings the last time the Sacramento Kings were any kind of good. So the Sacramento Kings is saying no. You know that's a problem. Now, the Cleveland Cavaliers, as who said in the comment, Terry Milton brought this up, right? So the Cleveland Cavaliers come into play. So who are the Cleveland Cavaliers willing to give up to get Ben Simmons? Now, one name that's been floating around has been Darius Garland. Now, I remember when they first drafted Darius Garland, they drafted him a year after they drafted Colin Sexton, in which they literally just, for all intents and purposes, drafted two players that played the same position. Both of them played point guard. When Colin Sexton was drafted, he was playing point guard at Alabama, right? So the next year when they drafted Darius Garland from Vanderbilt, that made absolutely no sense whatsoever. I guess, a lot of these guys, when they do their draft process, they try to, have this vision of lineup versatility and all that, right? What's up, Maximus Royalty? Salute. So you got a situation now, because remind you, the Cleveland Cavaliers just paid Jared Allen. That's the guy they traded for when he was a member of the Brooklyn Nets. They paid him a max contract already, right? They're not interested in paying Colin Sexton the money he's looking for, and he's on the last year of his deal. So they're trying to trade Colin Sexton. So are you going to give up those two guys plus other draft picks for Ben Simmons? Is Ben Simmons going to be that guy that turns the tide in Cleveland? Which would be sweet justice for the owner, Dan Gilbert, considering that LeBron James played there, and the owner, the agent is Rich Paul. So that would be sweet justice for them if that were to happen, but good luck at that one happening or whatever like that, right? Now, I put a link in the chat. If you guys want to come in and talk about this whole thing with Ben Simmons, there's the link. But how are you going to mesh with Jared Allen in Cleveland? And truth be told, the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to suck. They really are. Barring this transformation and all that, I don't see the Cleveland Cavaliers doing anything in the Eastern Conference next year. I just don't. See, Garland and Simmons work out together. Okay, that's great. But how would that translate to the court? Just because you work out together don't mean you're going to have good chemistry on the court. So here's another article I'm gonna share with everybody about this. If Ben Simmons won't cost the Cavs Colin Sexton, Cleveland should pursue him. So the former All-Star has contentious relationship with the organization and has not done a good job hiding their desire to trade the young guard. If the team is trying to trade you, I don't think it's all out of line to force their hand. Say, why should you stay committed if the other party doesn't want you? Because this is the thing, right? This is the thing. If he wasn't committed to that organization, then why would that organization commit to him? Right? Part of the reason why he thinks the Trailblazers out the question, right? There ain't no scenario where Ben Simmons go to Portland. Portland's already made it clear that Damian Lillard, they're going to build a team around Damian Lillard, right? So that's out the question, right? There was a rumor out about him possibly getting traded for CJ McCollum. That's dead, right? That didn't even nowhere close to materialize, right? But they say he's open to join the Cavaliers. But who will they give up? Who are they willing to give up to get Ben Simmons? Because, see, the Cavaliers, in my opinion, are in a really unique situation considering that Colin Sexton is going to want money. I don't think the Cavaliers are willing to give him that kind of money, right? What's up, Scrub Zero? So they're going to have to trade him to keep him from walking and getting nothing. But at the same time, the Philadelphia 76ers want a king's ransom for Ben Simmons. So the Cavaliers, in my opinion, or in my estimation, if I'm wrong, someone please let me know, right? But I don't think the Cavaliers have a package that will suit Daryl Morey to land Ben Simmons, to get Ben Simmons up out of Philadelphia. Let's look at this, right? Now, the Cavaliers just traded for Lauri Markkanen. They were just involved in the three-team trade that the Bulls gave up Lauri Markkanen, so he's part of the Cavaliers now, right? So obviously the oldest player on that team is Kevin Love. But who on this team are you willing to give up to get Ben Simmons, right? If you give up Kevin Love, where is he going to play, right? Because will you shift him to the 4 and then have Tobias Harris play the 3, right? Jared Allen did just re-sign to a max deal. But look at all these guys. Taurean Prince, Lauri Markkanen, they're not going to give him up. They just acquired for him Damian Dotson, C.D. Osman, Isaiah Hartenstein. Look at these guys, right? Who in this team are you going to give up to get Ben Simmons? Outside of Kevin Love and maybe Jared Allen, which I don't see them giving up, and they're not giving up Lauri Markkanen, right? The only guys worth giving up is Colin Sexton. Oh, well, I'll take that back. The only guys worth trading for is Colin Sexton, Darius Garland, Jared Allen, and Kevin Love, right? But they're not. Well, Cleveland's not coming up off those guys. So who is on this team? Matter of fact, I'm gonna make the screen bigger for everybody, right? Kevin Love's birthday is on Tuesday, so we're gonna wish him a happy birthday, all right? Look at these guys on this roster. Who is on this team here that Cleveland's willing to give up to get Ben Simmons without having to maybe throw some draft picks in there, or whatever like that, right? Would you trade for any of these guys? I know some people might trade for Kevin Love, or whatever like that. He's probably the only trade piece that even comes remotely close to making sense. You're not trading for Isaiah Hartenstein or Lamar Stevens or Darius Garland. Well, maybe Darius Garland, he's good. Kabengele, Dylan Windler, Yvonne Mobley, Dean Wade, Isaac Okoro. You're not trading for none of these banners. Now, for me, what I suggest, right, is Ben Simmons to go back to the 76ers and make amends. Why do you think Allen Iverson is so revered in Philadelphia? Why? Because that man was willing to give his heart and soul and body to the 76ers. So who's this? Hey, this is your first time on the channel, man. What's up?
What's good, man?
All right, so what you got on this situation with Ben Simmons?
I feel like, Ben Simmons.
Hey, you're low. I can't hear you.
Hold on. Oh, okay. I feel like Ben Simmons, he not really.
Okay, maybe he'll come back. Maybe he got abducted. But if he's able to free himself from the abduction, then he'll come back. But nevertheless, Ben Simmons needs to first apologize to the 76ers organization, right? Find it within himself to unlock his potential, because the dude got potential. The reason why they're booing you, Ben Simmons, is because they see what you don't see. And they have a vision that this team is able to win championships. And you will be a part of that equation. But the fact of the matter is, Ben Simmons has not done his part. They've given him all-star status. They've given him money. They've made him alongside Joel Embiid as these pieces to this jigsaw puzzle that they had envisioned for a championship. So if he wants the crowd to not boo him, then he got to go there and play with a chip on his shoulders. Show some heart, show some desire, show that you're willing to go through the grind. You're not willing to go through the fire. And those people in Philadelphia, that's all they know for is hard work. That's not a city to go to if you're one of the pompous, coddled, weak-minded, weak-hearted individuals. That's not the city for you. They will run you up out of there. and they will make no bones about it. They will not lose sleep over running your ass out of town. They don't tolerate, look, if anybody been to Philadelphia, I know I have. I've been there many times. They do not tolerate snobbish, snotty, coddled individuals. You either pull your pants up and get to work, or they're going to kick your ass out the door. Period. And they're going to talk all kinds of trash about you on the way out. Now, he can right this ship by first showing up to training camp, because he already came out and said that he had no intentions of going to training camp. And I think that's a big mistake. So Ben Simmons thinks a change of scenery is going to solve the problems that he himself has caused. It wasn't the organization's fault. They had plans on making you one of the faces within the organization. So it's not the organization's fault that you did not live up to expectations. It's your fault. And then Daryl Morey wants a king's ransom to acquire this guy when this guy has not shown that he can play the game on the elite level. At least from the offensive standpoint, he's shown he cannot play the game on the elite level. No team, and that's why you see all these teams pulling out. When the Sacramento Kings say no, you know that's a problem. And Daryl Morey is going to wait and wait and wait and wait until the right trade offer comes through. But the problem with that is, if Ben Simmons is not playing, when does the right trade offer come about? Because every day he don't play, from what I see, his value is going to continue to decrease. So what is Ben Simmons going to do in the meantime? Is he going to go home to Australia to work on his game? Is he going to find an Instagram model to dunk his balls in? Right? What is he going to do until the right trade offer comes around? And I have questions about what the right trade offer is, if any. He don't have leverage in this situation. He still got 3 years left on the deal that he just signed a couple years ago, if not last year. It was a couple years ago because it kicked in last season. So what is he going to do? Because if Daryl Morey is not willing to come down off the asking price, and there's no team willing to budge, then what are they going to do? In my opinion, the only thing that's even remotely close to salvaging this thing is for Ben Simmons to go to the organization, apologize to the organization, apologize to his teammates that are willing to go through the grit and grind for him, only for him to thumb his nose up and show his ass towards the same players that's supposed to be who's willing to walk through the fire with him and go out there and play to his capability. There's a reason why he was a multiple-time All-Star. There's a reason why he was contender for Defensive Player of the Year. If he just given them any kind of offense, if he could just be a consistent offensive threat, look, I'm not asking him to go out there and average 30. It would be nice if he went out there and averaged 30, because that team would be dangerous. But if he can go out there and get at least 18 to 20 points a game, between 18 and 23 points a game, if he would just play up to his potential on the offensive end, this team would be dangerous Had he played to his level of capability, who knows? Brett Brown probably would have still had a job by now. Who knows? Sam Hinkie probably still would have had a job by now. If Ben Simmons played to the level of his capability, Sam Hinkie, the former GM, and Brett Brown, their former coach, would still have a job right now, probably. But because he failed to show up when it mattered most, despite the fact that they paid him a ton of money, now you had a domino effect where Sam Hinkie's out of a job and Elton Brand's in there. And Elton Brand was the guy that actually paid him the max contract. And in my opinion, that was the worst thing they could have done. The worst thing they could have done was pay him that max contract, and they did it anyway because they were paying for potential. And the only thing I've seen is that he's gotten progressively worse. So, you guys let me know what y'all think about this. In the coming days and weeks, when more news come around about where Ben Simmons is going to go, if he's going to go anywhere, if Daryl Morey's going to lower the price, then we'll pass it along on this channel. But Ben Simmons, you, sir, got a whole lot of soul searching to do, my friend. Smash the like, hit the subscribe. Shouts out to the LDBC. This your boy. Scream at me. Oh!